Committee on Economic Development and Environment. My name is Julia Morse. I'm MLA for Frame Lake and Deputy Chair of this committee. I'm going to ask members or the member in the room to introduce themselves for the record, and then we'll go online. Mr. McNeely.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Do we have to turn this on?
No, you got it.
Oh, here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Daniel McNeely, MLA for the Sawtooth. Welcome.
Thank you, and we'll go online starting with Ms. Reed.
Good evening. Thank you for being here with us. My name is Kate Reed. I'm the MLA for Great Slave.
Thank you very much. And also online is Mr. Hawkins. He's the Robert Hawkins MLA for Yellowknife Center and chair of this committee. And he can't be here right now, but he is online. And with that, we'll receive a public briefing on marine transportation services with Infrastructure Minister Honouable Vince McKay. I'm going to pass it over to the Minister. Please proceed with your presentation, Mr. McKay and staff.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see some of you again. Good to see Danny McNeely there, Mr. MLA McNeely. So thank you for inviting us here to speak on the 2025 operations for Marine Transportation Services. I was very pleased to have met the Marine Transportation Services team last week, along with the Deputy Minister and Assistant Deputy Minister in Hay River, to review the operational plans for the 2025 season. It was an excellent opportunity to see firsthand the work that goes into preparing for the upcoming shipping season, and it's always nice to have a briefing in my hometown. As always, the planning is detailed. The planning is detailed and looks ahead. I was glad to see that there's a backup plan in place to help us deal with any of the uncertainties that come with working in the north. We all know that we can't control Mother Nature, so we prepare as the best we can and wait to see how the season goes. Marine Transportation Services plays a critical role in delivering fuel and essential goods to our northern communities. We recognize how important the services is, and we remain committed to doing everything we can to support a successful season. I also want to acknowledge the MTS staff for their continued flexibility and unwavering dedication. It's not easy work, and the conditions are often unprecedented. But year after year, and the professionalism and commitment to ensure the communities get their much needed goods. With that, I am pleased to introduce in the room with you guys Deputy Minister Kathy Maniego and Assistant Deputy Minister Tracy St. Dennis. And also online joining us is Director of Marine Transportation Services Terry Kamsel, and also in the room is Ministerial Special Advisor Jeff Ray. The team there will walk us through a presentation, Mr. Chair, and with your permission, we can go ahead to the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the Minister for the introduction. We're proposing a bit of a hybrid. I'll take committee through the first few slides, and then I will hand it off to our Director, Terry Kamsel. Presentation in front of committee has a bit of an outline. Want to just briefly talk about the 2025 season, a quick recap on the challenges and how the season actually ended up. Then Mr. Kamsel is going to talk about some of the discussions and work he's been doing on water levels, and then some of the contingency planning, how 2025 is unfolding, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and then a bit of an operations update and summary on challenges. So with that, Mr. Chair, just wanted to share with committee a quick summary, still in very recent history. Committee is aware that we had historic low water levels along the Mackenzie River. We facilitated and worked with customers to have deliveries for the ISR, the Inuvialuit Settlement Region, through Tuktoyaktuk, and fuel and dry cargo were successfully delivered through the ISR. Fuel was delivered by Over the Top. Committee may remember a briefing last year where we discussed the movement of fuel coming over the top through Alaska and then down to Wise Bay, where we transferred fuel for further delivery to Tuk, Inuvik, and then the ISR. And then we were successful with not one, but 2 deliveries to Litzel Cay to assist the community with fuel and with a particular housing project. Wanted to also mention the hard work done by the INF staff this winter on a successful winter road, which allowed us to move in excess of 7.7 million liters of fuel for the Fuel Services Division for the communities that we serve. So lessons learned, challenges that were unprecedented, considering that the community of Hay River was in a situation of having too much water not 2 years prior. So anyway, with that, I'm going to hand it off to Terry, our director, to go through the remainder of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everybody. So we'll start off with the water level situation. As Tracy pointed out, that there was a historic lows last year, and the water system has recovered somewhat from that, but it's still suffering from the after effects of the low water from 2024. So what I've done here is just include an example of what it's like at the Fort Providence Rapids, which are critical to our operation because that's the start of the Mackenzie. So we need to get through the Providence Rapids to get down to the Satu and the Detro, or Satu region, sorry. And right now, we are waiting the word, and you can see from the graph there that the dotted line on the bottom is the historic low, and the middle line is the mean, and the upper line is the highest maximum it's ever been. So we're right now in between the line on the bottom, which is the historic low, and the median or the mean from all the years that they've been tracking this. So we're kind of in a marginal zone there, which would entail a possibility of putting the buoys in, but that decision lies entirely with the Coast Guard. So right now we are awaiting the Coast Guard's decision. They have sent a small craft out to the Providence Rapids last week, and they said that at that time, the water looks okay right now. So as long as that holds for several weeks, they'll be able to put the buoys in. So the other later this week, they're going to send out another small craft that's going to survey the area between mile 0 and mile 20. That's the area upstream from Beaver Lake, to see that that's passable as well. So that's the first hurdle we cross, of course, and that allows, if the Providence is okay, then Green Island Rapids is okay, which is further downstream. So that gets us over the first hurdle, and we'll be able to deliver to the Satu region if they can put the buoys in. But like I said earlier, it's completely dependent on the Coast Guard, and the captain will make that decision once he's had a good look at the river there. We are hopeful that the green line there will maintain itself, which is a good indicator because it's mostly governed by the level on Great Slave Lake, and the level on Great Slave Lake is 30 centimeters higher this year than it was last year at this time. So we've got a bit of a storage of water there. Next slide, please. So as Tracy mentioned earlier, there's a contingency plan for low water, and this is specifically to deal with the Satu region. So if the Providence Rapids are not passable, we've applied to the Canadian Coast Guard to have a contingency plan, which they will have to approve, and also Transport Canada to putting a number of buoys between Fort Simpson and Norman Wells to allow us to make that transit. So the Coast Guard vessel, the Ekaloo, is of course stuck in Hay River at the time if it can't get through the province. So it's stuck on the wrong side. So we would, we've been talking to Cooper's Barging out of Fort Simpson, and we're working on a plan with them in consultation with the Coast Guard and Transport Canada to put in a number of buoys in that area between the Dooley Ice Crossing and Norman Wells, so we can make a different type of delivery. We don't have any fuel barges available because Cooper's doesn't have any fuel barges, but we will use a method that is pretty common in the marine industry, which is tankers on barges. On the BC coast, a lot of the islands, the Sunshine Coast, the small communities are supplied in that manner. They load tankers on barges, so it will require a large number of tankers, of course, because a barge can hold so much more than a number of trucks can. But however, any liter of fuel that we get to the Satu will be a plus, because it'll mean that fuel won't have to be flown in case there is a fuel shortage in that area because of extenuating circumstances in the winter. Next slide, please. So in the shipping season, we're still, like I said, in that gray zone where we don't know whether or not we'll be shipping out of Hay River or Tuck, and that'll depend on water levels. So deliveries to the ISR hopefully will be able to be done out of the Hay River, but that's remains to be seen. And part of the challenge, of course, is that we do get into the Satu, but then we got to get it into the Delta region. So that means going through the Sansu and the Rampart. So that will depend on the other vessel, the Dumit, which is stationed in Inuvik, to come up and check the water levels and decide whether or not they can put the buoys in there. Now, the good news is that they feel they can put the buoys into Fort Good Hope from the Delta, so we can supply Fort Good Hope even if the ramparts are closed off. We have the diesel already available in a barge in Chuck, and we will truck the gas there and FSD will truck the gas there to enable us to get the fuel delivered to Fort Good Hope and also dry cargo that way as well. Next slide, please. As Tracy mentioned earlier, the tanker will arrive at Wise Bay in early August, and that is the fuel for the ISR plus Inuvik and Chuck. And we will lighter it with a number of barges from Wise Bay. By the way, Wise Bay is a deep water harbor. It's 200 miles east of Tuck, and that is a normal operation that we have had for a number of years, and we will continue to do that. That worked quite well for us. Next slide, please. Oop, went the wrong way. So there's a number of private contracts that we take on, especially the ones that involve navigation. So this is with the Canadian Coast Guard for installing nav aids on the several islands on Great Slave Lake, the Simpson Islands and the Île de Goulet. And the islands are so small, you can see from the pictures there that you can't really get too much equipment on them. So we will take the equipment out on a barge for the Coast Guard. They will have their vessel, the Ekaloo, there as well, but there's not enough room on deck to work. So we'll have a tug and a barge with him, with the operationer, to facilitate that those towers to be changed out. This work is scheduled for mid to late August, and it will depend on the availability of a helicopter. The Coast Guard needs a helicopter to facilitate this work. Next slide, please. So as everybody's aware, the number of challenges, and the number one challenge, of course, is low water on the Mackenzie River, which we talked about earlier. And that will definitely be something that we'll be monitoring closely over the next while. And I think that, as I mentioned there, we made some operational changes in order to accommodate that, and certainly having the contingency plan in place is one of those. Ice conditions in Western Arctic are also always a challenge, and this year there is a number of things that might be an issue. The polar pack is actually farther south this year than it was in previous years, but we'll monitor that situation closely to enable us to do those deliveries. Usually it doesn't really cause us too much of a problem because with the shallow draft vessels, we can stay in close to shore. I spent many years on an icebreaker in the Western Arctic, so that's kind of my area of expertise. So we can monitor that very closely. The contingency plan, as I mentioned earlier, the contingency plan will be in place prior to the season starting here for us. We're working on the final items of it to get permission or authorization from the Coast Guard to put the buoys in that area, and we should. There's no real challenges that we can't overcome in getting this in effect. So we feel quite confident that we'll be able to enact that plan. Next slide, please. We just put this slide there to indicate what it's like from year to year. In 2023, of course, the river levels were okay, and you can see on the left side the ramparts. There's a rock there that we monitor quite closely, and if that you can see from the picture on the right in 2024, there's a lot shallower in the ledge here. You can see the ledge going across. It traverses by the eastern side, which is the right side of the picture there, and you can see that the ledge here is quite visible, and that's really the water drops over the ledge here at that point, so that's very, very difficult to traverse if in fact the water levels are low. Next slide, please. So that's it, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be pleased to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Go to members now for questions. Any members have questions for MTS staff? Mr. McNeely.
Thank you for the presentation. I've got really no questions other than I'm glad to see you guys are on top of that, and you're exploring a contingency plan, but it's all up to Mother Nature, as the minister mentioned, and it's up to subject to somebody else's approval, in this case, Coast Guard and Transport Canada. And I don't think we want to place our company at harm's way here by saying, yes, let's take a chance. And it'll be really embarrassing to have a boat stuck at the ramparts or even trying to get there. So I look forward to and if I got any concerns, I'll ask the minister. But having done my own, I was just telling the chair, having done my own survey there, I was standing on top of the Site C dam here several weeks ago, so I can tell you the water levels there. It's all regulated, and we downstream are just victims of somebody else's regulation. And even at the junction in Petito to Liard, there was quads going across there. So those were signs that just gave me faith in saying that to the Sahtu region, thank God you've got your products in on a winter road, And let's just hope and pray that you have a cold season like you did last year. If we recall, the heavy truck traffic couldn't be shortened by a few weeks. And we've seen that evidence in March of 2019. So the only ultimate solution is build your highway. But if I got any further questions, I'll be in touch with Minister McKay. Thank you.
Thank you. No surprises in those comments. Any further comments or questions from committee? I have one I wanted to ask, and that was just, knowing that, we've been using the word unprecedented for a number of years now. I feel like we're in precedented times now. Knowing that this, the low water levels are going to continue to be a problem for a while. I mean, I'm encouraged to see it slowly returning, and I've read the water reports from our water survey staff, and I'm encouraged to see that there is going to be a return over time. But to get to the question, has it ever been considered to simply blast a channel through the shallow areas? Is that possible, or am I completely and vastly underestimating how difficult that would be?
Thank you, Mr.
Oh, sorry. Go.
No, I was just gonna say, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if that would be easily done. I don't know if that's even actually been attempted. I know we dredge in Hay River, but the areas that are concerns, like the Providence area and the ramparts and those areas, I mean, those are rock ledges and stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that's ever been attempted. I'll leave it up to some of the staff, but maybe Tracy or Terry to elaborate on that question there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was actually the minister going to pass that off to Terry. I suspect that discussions probably happened back in the 70s and 80s, but I just think the reality of the environment wouldn't necessarily probably be supportive or conducive. But I don't know, Terry, anything to add?
Well, I think Minister McKay touched on it there, is that a lot of the rapids are rock, so it's very difficult. And actually, back in the 70s, they used to blast the Sansu Rapids and dredge there. And there was a number of dredging operations, especially in the area between the mile 0 and mile 20 before Beaver Lake, and also across Beaver Lake. Sometimes it gets very shallow there. So yeah, it has happened in the past before, but if the whole, that's just in localized areas, but if the whole river system is a lot lower, you would have a lot of dredging to do for sure. And it wouldn't be a viable option, I don't think.
Okay, thank you. Just thought I'd throw the Hail Mary question out there just in case, someone had for some reason not thought of it, but yeah. It's definitely a difficult situation, so as usual, and as we'll continue to pray for rain. I'm not seeing any further questions from committee, so I think that's it for the briefing. But I wanted to thank staff. As Mr. McNeely said, I think we all trust that you guys are doing everything you can to get the season through, and I think that was clear to us, the hard work that gets put into this when we visited this site last fall. So really appreciate staff taking the time. I'll pass it over to the minister for closing comments if you'd like to share.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for everybody being here tonight and the opportunity to do this presentation. It's very important for everybody in the north, getting the essential goods and fuel. So, but I also want to, thank our staff. We've got some experienced staff. I've confidence that if there's an opportunity to get down the river, they'll make it happen. And that working with Coast Guard, I know there's always a line of communication open with Coast Guard, so it's always good for that also. But yeah, just thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for our staff for doing some good work here last little while. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you so much. So that concludes the public portion of this briefing. I'll just ask members to stick around for a debrief. And thanks again to the minister and his staff.